So you're thinking of moving to the Central Valley and you've narrowed it down to Tracy and Modesto. Great options for commuters if you are a commuter to the Bay, or maybe just like the areas. But maybe you don't really know which one to pick. So today we're going to do a comparison of both of them to see which one wins. That'll be up to you because there's definitely pros and cons to each. If this is your first time to the channel, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and tap that bell for notifications so you can be the first one updated on the Central Valley's California real estate market. Hi, I'm Alex. I'm a realtor based out of Turlock, California, and I get calls from people just like you every single day looking to make a move here. So whether moving in 9 days or 90 days, feel free to book a Zoom call with me, send me a text, shoot me an email, and we can sit down together to go over exactly what it is that you're looking for. So let's just jump straight into it. Tracy and Modesto, both very, very popular options and very large growing communities at the moment. So we're going to compare the two and go over quite a few different points. But the first we're going to go over is freeway access, since that's very important for commutability. And just as a side note, I seem to have nowhere on this entire shirt where I can clip this microphone onto for some reason, except up here, and it's all the way up on my neck. So I'm just going to be holding the microphone today. So hopefully the sound comes across all right. Total side note, but let's go back into it. So freeway access. The Tracy area is shaped like a triangle. Now Tracy's surrounded by the 205, the 5, and the 580 freeways. All major freeways that lead to other freeways that can take you directly to the Bay Area. So they're very easy to hop on. Even if you're not going to the Bay, it can take you to Northern California and right back down to Southern California on that 5. Now Modesto mostly has the 99, and the 99 runs directly through Modesto. Tracy does not have the 99, but Modesto also does not have all those other freeways that Tracy has. So here, to me, if you are commuting to the Bay especially, there's kind of a clear winner here. There's more options. If there is a huge pileup on the 99 in Modesto, you don't have some of these other freeway options to get on. You have to go take the back roads, and that can take a while too, since it's only one lane in most of these. So it seems to be a clear winner in this category, but again, up to you. Now, if you are a commuter or maybe even not a commuter and you just want to take day trips places, you're going to want to know how long it takes to get there. So first, let's look at Tracy. And we're going to hit a few of the major cities that people seem to travel to a lot. So first, there is San Jose. Silicon Valley, a lot of people go to work here. From Tracy, on a good day, it's around an hour and a half or so, hour 15, maybe an hour 15 if there was zero traffic, but that is very unrealistic if you're going during commuting time. So it's anywhere from usually an hour and a half to a couple of hours. Modesto going to San Jose is at least an hour and a half and can go up to past 2 hours depending on traffic once again. Now, another popular place is San Francisco. Looking at Tracy, zero traffic, you get there in about an hour 15. Traffic though, for sure, hour 15 to a couple of hours. Same with Modesto, you're going to add a little bit of time, and San Francisco is going to be an hour and 45 minutes or so from Modesto. Now, if you're looking at a map, Tracy is just a little bit closer to the Bay Area, so that's why it's so much of a very popular commuting place and place to live for commuters, I should say, because of its accessibility to the Bay. Modesto is a little bit further, but we'll get into the video and you'll see why people choose Modesto, even though Tracy is closer. Now, the last one I'm talking about is Sacramento. It's the capital of California, so a lot of people do end up working there. From Tracy, it's about an hour and 15, and Modesto, it's also about an hour and 15 minutes. So very comparable there since you're going north, but it's really the Bay that it makes a big difference. If you're planning on commuting to work and you don't have a car, or maybe it's just not your favorite option, then we need to know about the different transportation infrastructure that each city has. Now, Tracy does have the ACE train. That is the Altamont Corridor Express. That is a very, very popular option. It takes you to, there's a station directly in Tracy that takes you to nearby cities. I think it's like Livermore, Dublin, areas like that. So that's a very popular option and a great way to avoid commuter traffic. Tracy also has the Tracer, which are regional buses. That's mostly within Tracy, but it can take you to the ACE train. So if you don't want to drive your car to the ACE train, or you don't have a car, you can get on this transit system, this bus, and it'll take you there. Now, Modesto does not have the ACE train, but it does have Amtrak. Now, the thing with Amtrak is it's used a little bit more for occasional travel is the best way of putting it, not daily work, because it'll take you to Fresno, Oakland, Sacramento. So I guess if you are working in some of those areas, it could work for you, but it might not be on the same times as like the Ace train. Amtrak's a little bit more sporadic and usually try to book those in advance, but still really convenient if you're trying to get to these locations. Now, Modesto does also have the Stan RTA, and those are the buses around town that can take you mostly throughout Modesto and surrounding cities, but it can also take you to different train stations that can take you to the Bay Area. So both have different options. Tracy, it is nice having that Ace train directly in town, but there are options for both. So far, I'm sure you're thinking, well, duh, Tracy clearly seems like the winner here. It has more access to trains, it's closer to the bay, surrounded by freeways. Why would someone want to live in Modesto? Well, a really big factor to this is the cost of living and affordability. Significantly cheaper to live in Modesto compared to Tracy, even though they're only like 20 to 30 minutes away from each other. It's a huge difference. Tracy tends to be much more expensive than Modesto, mostly because we get a lot of those Bay Area people coming that are commuters, so they want to take advantage of the more affordable Central Valley home prices, but still work in the Bay. And that has driven up our home prices a lot. Tracy's a very desirable area to be, so it just causes prices to keep going up. So to show you comparison, looking at home prices first, the current median home price in Tracy is around $700,000. The current median home price in Modesto is around $450,000. That is a huge difference from a home that could be only 20-30 minutes away from the other home. So just travel a little bit closer to the bay towards Tracy and those prices are going to start increasing significantly. So if you are looking for more affordability, Modesto is the place. And it's not just with home pricing, it's with a lot of other cost of living and things as well. So one thing to take note of is if you are living in Tracy, there's a lot of new master plan communities, which is really cool that there's a lot of new building and development. But be aware, whenever you buy in one of these communities, there's usually Mello-Roos tax. Mello-Roos tax is a specific tax to California that helps fund infrastructure and new developments. So anytime you're living in a new community, you got to think someone has to pay for all those new parks, maybe new schools, the roads being constructed as well too. All of that has to start somewhere, and that's going to be coming out of your paycheck or from your property taxes. Now, Modesto, there's a lot of older areas that don't have Mello-Roos. Now be aware, I mean, there's plenty of places in Tracy that don't have Mello-Roos, but it's becoming fairly common, especially with so many new construction homes. Now, in general, the cost of living, like I mentioned already, is significantly cheaper in Modesto. If you are living in Modesto and you are a family, I think the survey from bestplaces.net was a family of like 4 or so, you're looking at spending around $6,200 a month. And if you're single, the cost of living is estimated to be about $3,700 a month if you live in Modesto. Now go just 20-30 minutes away to Tracy, and that's going to jump up once again, I think a lot because of the home prices. So the cost of living for a family in Tracy is estimated to be around $12,000 a month. That is nearly double what it is in Modesto. And if you're a single person, it's estimated that your monthly cost of living is around $5,300 a month. So also quite a bit more than in Modesto. So it's something to keep in mind. And the last one I want to talk about that is not commonly thought of is utility costs. In Modesto, we have the Modesto Irrigation District, so that saves you a lot of money on your electricity. Now, you will pay PG&E for gas, but all electricity would be on Modesto Irrigation. If you're in Tracy, most of it is covered by PG&E, and that's about 3 to 4 times the cost of our local water boards here. So that's just one other thing to consider. I would say that probably groceries, gas are fairly comparable. I mean, I know that's constantly changing. When it just comes to the overall cost of living, you're so much better off in Modesto if affordability is what you're going for. Now, if you're considering both of them, you're also going to want to know what is there to do there? What's the entertainment like? Now, in Tracy, I wouldn't say the downtown area is quite as established as Modesto, but there is a big growing downtown scene. So there's, the weekly farmers markets, they have the Grand Theater, they have a few wine tasting rooms nearby, and I want to say it was early 2000s that downtown went through a major revitalization, which brought in a lot of new local businesses and attracts a lot of people to visit. So I visited it. It's a very, very nice downtown. When I'd say there to entertainment, I wouldn't say there's a whole lot to do. But like I said, if it's a weekend and there's not traffic, you could be in San Francisco in an hour and a half. So that's nice as well. Looking at Modesto, though, I would say the downtown is much more established. They have a lot more restaurants, a stronger art scene, live music, and a ton of different seasonal events. So we have, our very own Performing Arts Center in Modesto, the Gallo Center for the Arts, where they do plays, live music, orchestras. So we get people from all over coming to watch that. We have our very own symphony orchestra. We have our own theater companies, the State Theater, and just besides that, the restaurants alone, you can go for a walk in downtown, stop anywhere, and the food's going to be fantastic and amazing. So I would just say there's significantly more to do in Modesto, and it's open to all age ranges. No matter what age you are, there is something for you in Modesto. So that is something I would compare between the two, that Modesto, in my opinion, ranks just a little bit higher on. Now, if you also have children or young adult children, you're going to want to know about the school situation. And I would say it's pretty comparable between the two, because according to niche.com, they gave Tracy an overall rating of a B+ for their public school system. And they gave Modesto an overall rating of a B for their public school system. So they're ranking Tracy a little bit higher, but that's pretty close, not a huge difference. Now, the difference I would say is in higher education. Tracy doesn't have its own university or junior college within town, but they're very close to Stockton. And within Stockton, you can go to UOP, which is the University of Pacific, a beautiful private school that offers plenty of graduate and undergraduate degrees. And they're also close to the Delta Junior College in Stockton. Now, if you're in Modesto has its very own junior college, MJC, or Modesto Junior College, where there's a lot of different programs there and a lot of local kids from the area choose to go there. And if you either don't want to go to MJC or you're done with the 2-year and want to move on to a university, Modesto is very close to Turlock, which has Stan State. It's one of the 23 CSUs here in California. So a CSU, if you're not familiar, is a California State University, all public schools, great education system, but also like Tracy, it's very close to Stockton. So you can go to UOP or Delta Junior College there. So there's a lot more options with Modesto, but when it comes to children under the age of 18, I would say they're fairly comparable. If you are interested in private schools, you'll have to look just a little bit more deeper into that, because these are ratings for public schools. The last thing I want to discuss with you today, just for one more comparison, because so far I would say Modesto and Tracy are very neck and neck. But the last thing I want to talk about is future development and investment into these cities. I think Tracy has a little bit more development just because of the large population coming in, but that's up to you and your opinion. You'll see. So the first one I want to talk about is the Ace train I've gone over that takes you to the Bay, is expanding. And I don't think Modesto has as many options for that type of transportation that they're working on expanding. As I also mentioned, Tracy has a ton of new homes coming to the area. Modesto said they're potentially working on some, but there's not really any new builds in Modesto. Modesto is nearly maxed out its space. Tracy has a lot more area around it to keep expanding, which we've seen. Now, the biggest increase in future development I've seen in Tracy is all of the businesses that have come to the area. So as I mentioned, it's shaped like a triangle and surrounded by 3 different main freeways, which is a huge draw for these large warehouse and shipping companies. So we have Amazon, Safeway, Medline, FedEx, Costco. All of them have big distribution centers somewhere in Tracy because it's just so convenient for loading their trucks and getting on the freeway. Modesto doesn't have quite as many that Tracy has. And Tracy also has the International Park of Commerce, which is one of the largest business parks in all of Northern California. It's attracting a lot of high-tech logistics and corporate businesses, where we don't really have that type of business park in Modesto. Now, one thing I will say about Modesto is, as I mentioned, I do like their downtown, and they do have a downtown master plan that they're aiming to improve their parking. They're trying to encourage more creative public spaces, try to get more residential development in the area. So they're both growing, they're both expanding. I would say Tracy is moving a little bit quicker, and I think part of it is just because of its prime location and its attraction to so many big companies, where Modesto doesn't have that attraction as much. But that is one of the last pros I want to talk about. All right, so Tracy or Modesto, I want to hear in the comments which one you guys would choose, and if you do live there, which one you prefer if you've been to both places. To me, it's kind of 50-50. I think it really depends on if you are a commuter, what your budget is like, and what kind of entertainment that you're looking for. It's like I said, it's a toss-up, so I'd love to know in the comments what you're thinking. Now, if you are thinking of moving to either of these places or any of the surrounding areas, feel free to reach out to me. My contact information is below, and I'd be happy to go over exactly what it is that you're looking for and help walk you through both of these locations.